Guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's Friday. It's 9 o'clock, which means normally it's time for a video to do with reviews. It might be a review show revisited. It might be a review show special. But today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Last Friday, I did a video, the 10 worst tricks of 2021. It was very difficult putting that list together because there were so many terrible tricks in 2021. There were tricks that made the list, then I took out, and then tricks that didn't make the list that I put in, and I was changing it right up until the second that I filmed it. Now, the feedback for that video has been incredible, and I really appreciate it. It's been one of, it's been a really, really popular video, both in terms of engagement and watch time and everything. So thank you very much for that. But one question has come up over and over again in the comments, which is, oh, why didn't we get a top 20? Or, oh, are you going to do a follow-up to this? And I had no intention of doing a follow-up because my attitude was, these are the top 10 worst tricks of 2021. That's all you kind of need. But a lot of people were saying to me, well, you know what, this video has really helped me. I'm new into magic. This has helped me decide what to not go for. But I'm really worried. I'm sure there's lots of other tricks that would have made this list. What about the trick that's at number 11? And people do have a point. So I'm going to do what I said I would never do. And I'm going to do another 10 tricks from 2021 that you need to avoid like the plague. Now, this is not the top 10 list. The top 10 list was the list that I put last week. Those are the 10 worst tricks of 2021. If you want to look at this as number 11 through to 20, you can do, by all means. I'm looking at it as these are another 10 tricks that you should not buy. These are another 10 tricks that came out in 2021 that are not worth buying. In fact, if you see them, run. Run as far as you can, run as fast as you can. If they pop up on a Facebook ad, if they pop up in a Facebook group, if you're on the Magic Cafe and somebody posts a thread to one of these, run. Run as hard and as fast as you can because these 10 tricks are terrible. And I'm going to go through exactly why they're terrible. So without further ado, let's get into this week's Friday video, which is another 10 tricks from 2021 that are terrible. So first of all, when I take this sort of thing very seriously is when I have a list. I have a list here today. I have a list of the 10 worst tricks, well, not the 10 worst tricks, as I said, that was last Friday, but 10 tricks that are terrible that you really shouldn't buy. And in first position, or in, I'm going to count backwards. So in 10th position, we have Triple Helix. Now, when this came out earlier on in the year, I ripped into this. And I know that there's going to be people watching this list that are going to say to me, oh, I disagree, Triple Helix is amazing. Because that's what happened last time. I had some people that were really passionately defending Triple Helix. And then I had other people that were saying, no, you're right, Triple Helix is terrible. Let me tell you why I don't like this product, because there's a very specific reason why I don't like it. I do agree that in the right place, at the right time, this might be a good trick to do. Look, ultimately, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I can say over and over again about how I hate something, but somebody else might love it. And the perfect example is Triple Helix, because Patrick Kuhn performed this on AGT in the final, I think, as his opening. And that shows that this can work in the right time, right place. Now, in that environment, Patrick's completely in control of lighting, he's completely in control of angles, he doesn't have to worry about audience management, so it makes more sense to perform this in that sort of environment. And that's one of the issues that I have with Triple Helix. The places that you can perform it in are actually quite limited. Because it is very angly. If you don't know what Triple Helix is, it's a production of 3 decks of cards. You bring out a deck of cards, you make another deck appear, you make another deck appear, you put 2 of the decks away, and you're left with 1 deck. Now, the problem with it is, A, it is very angly, and B, you require a lot of audience management because these decks that just appear out of nowhere cannot be examined. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if they actually addressed this on the tutorial, and they didn't. And this is a problem with Triple Helix, and it's a problem with a lot of other tricks that come out as well. The problem is the creators of these tricks do not actually spend any time talking about the important stuff that you need to know that make these tricks work. There's a worrying trend at the moment with tricks that come out where they're either a very short tutorial or, even worse, There's no tutorial, or everything's done to music with subtitles at the bottom. That's not the right way to do this. If you have a trick that requires understanding about audience management and understanding about angles, that's something that you need to bring up in the product. And they don't. The tutorial's about 25 minutes long from memory. It starts with them talking about what the trick is and thank you for buying it. And then there's this whole arts and crafts section, which we'll get to in a minute. Then after the arts and crafts section, they talk through how the trick works and how to do it. And then that's it. Patrick Kunn comes back in at the end with a little amendment to the trick that makes it marginally better. The problem is, to do his amendment, you're going to need to buy a whole bunch of other stuff. So, you can't really count it because you don't get that stuff in the actual packaging. But they never talk about how to perform it. And I don't understand why people aren't doing that. If you've got a trick like Triple Helix, where audience management is something that you need to be aware of, you have to understand there's a lot of new people that are going to be buying tricks. And if you are bringing out a trick that's angly, that's issues with audience management, you need to bring that up. You need to talk about how to perform it. What's the best environment? What do you do if somebody grabs for this basically half a shell? What are you going to do? What are you going to do in that situation? But they don't go through that. The other problem is arts and craft. I haven't got a problem with arts and craft. But the trailer and the ad copy made you believe that arts and craft wasn't going to be a thing on this project. It never talked about arts and craft. It says the gimmick comes complete. Now, in a way, the gimmick does come complete, but half of the tutorial was about arts and craft. It took me about half an hour to make this bloody thing. And then the other thing is, I couldn't make it anywhere near as good as it is on the tutorial. And I tried like 3 or 4 times. I spent a long time trying to make this gimmick and making it look good. And it didn't look good every single time I made it. It looked terrible. Or it looked nowhere, it wouldn't pass in the real world. And then I looked on the internet and a lot of people were having that same problem as well. Again, I don't understand why it didn't just come complete. I don't understand why it didn't just come complete. So yeah, I mean, you might love Triple Helix and that's fine. And yeah, right time, right place. This might work. This might work on social media. But the thing is, this was advertised as a product that will work in the real world. The whole trailer was him performing it out in festivals, performing it out in the real world. But then when you actually watch the tutorial, you kind of think to yourself, how is this going to work in that environment? And they don't even address it on the tutorial. That's why it's bad. It's bad because it can't be performed in so many situations and they don't address that. And, let's be honest. There's a million ways to open your card set. If I want to produce a couple of decks of cards, there's a million different ways that I could do that, where I could then completely clean. Because even when you've put your 2 completely gimmick decks away, the deck that you're left with isn't examinable. You have to be very careful. It's just not a great trick. It's just not a great trick at all. And it follows this worrying trend of creators bringing out tricks and half-arsing the tutorials. Okay, so in 9th position, we have capped. In 9th position, we have capped. Now, this is just dreadful. What is capped? Well, basically, you get this Sharpie cap, right? And it's a normal Sharpie cap, except it's got this round thing here. It's a specially made cap. It's got this round thing in. And the whole idea is you're meant to do coin and pen cap. But when the coin goes into the pen cap, you see that it's meant to be in there because of this special pen cap. And then you can shake it out and the pen cap's normal. That's basically what it is. Now, it's a concept. It's an interesting idea, other than the execution was terrible. First of all, the person who is on the tutorial, who I assume is the person who's created this, he can't teach. He can't teach. He can't present. He can't lecture. He can barely string one coherent sentence together. If you are selling a magic trick that you have to teach people how to do, you have to be able to talk like a normal human being. Or you get somebody else to do the tutorial for you who can string a couple of sentences together. Second of all, this was filmed in what looked like an iPhone 1 or maybe an iPhone 0.5. This is an example of somebody who's had a half-arsed, half-baked idea, filmed a couple of performances to a camera phone and then just gone, right, okay, I've got this trick, can I get my money please? This isn't about furthering in the art. This is coming up with a brain fart and trying to release it to get a bit of money in your pocket. That's what this is about. And then the other problem with this trick is it just is so impractical. The trailer makes it look like you can do it anytime, anywhere. Half of the displays are so impractical. You know, like let's say that you've got this Sharpie, special Sharpie marker. When you shake the coin out, all you're doing is you're holding the Sharpie marker like this. It's like an even worse version of edge grip. Edge grip is okay because you've got these fingers covering the coin that's in edge grip, and here you've got no cover. If people look just a millimeter in either direction, they'll see how it's done. It's really just for camera. And even then, it's not even a great camera trick. And the biggest problem is, it's not fit for purpose. It doesn't work because all of the handlings that they present, and I use the term present loosely, all of the handlings that they present involve having this Sharpie cap that's specially made stuck onto the pen, like a normal Sharpie cap. You put it onto the pen, it won't come out if you shake it. With this, it's too loose. So you put it on the end of a pen, you shake it to do a move, and it goes flying to the other side of the room. It just doesn't work. It's not fit for purpose. It's a brain fart that should never have come out. And it's just terrible. And the person that released this really should feel ashamed for themselves. It's a money grab. That's what this is. This is a fucking money grab. And it is not a good product. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, you're taking a beautiful moment of magic like coin and pen cap, and you're bastardizing it by throwing a gimmick in that's not needed, that doesn't add anything, that doesn't even work. And even if it did work, it doesn't work because it's so angle prone. It's terrible. In number 8, in the 8th position, we have Nomad Ring 2. Nomad Ring 2 is in 8th position. Nomad Ring 2 I absolutely hate. And the reason I hate Nomad Ring 2 is because I bought 3 of these things. I spent almost £150 on 3 Nomad Rings. And all 3 of them broke either when I opened up the box or it broke within 10 minutes of opening up the box. Sky Member, who create Nomad Ring 2, they've got this amazing trailer for it. Nomad Ring 1 was so popular, we've gone back to the drawing board and we've recreated it and we've made it better with Nomad Ring 2. Well, I put it to you that if you're going to make your product better, one of the things that you should do is maybe make it actually work. You know, have something that actually works that will withstand more than 10 minutes outside of the box rather than falling apart. It doesn't matter how good the trick is. You can't tell if it continues to fall apart. And I was looking on the internet, so many other people are saying the same thing. You know, here's the thing. If we were in the real world, if this was a supermarket like Asda or Walmart, what we would have here is we would have a recall of product. If they had a whole bunch of customers going back and saying, this is falling apart, this is falling apart, they'd probably recall the product and go, well, this isn't working, let's get them all back in and we'll re-release it. The Sky Member haven't done that. They're just hoping that enough people don't bring it back so that they don't have to give all of their money back to people. But this is a trick that's just not fit for purpose. It doesn't do what you expect it to do because it falls apart within 5 minutes. And you know, I had people, when I did my original review for Nomad Ring 2, I had people say, well, why can't you superglue the coin back onto the ring or the magnet back onto the ring? And you can. And I did try that, and it looked nowhere near as good as it should do, and then fell apart again. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not my job to superglue their trick back together. If I'm spending money on a trick, I shouldn't have to bloody superglue the trick to make it work. I should have somebody give me a trick that will work, and then maybe over time it'll wear out, and then I have to address that issue. But it's going to work when you actually send it to me. This doesn't do that. It's dreadful. It's abysmal. It's awful. Sky Member, you should have a quiet word with yourself. Stop bringing out shoddy products that don't work. Talking about shoddy products that don't work, at number 7 we have Chop-Doh. Now, I reviewed this earlier on in the year, and the internet kind of went crazy for this at the time. Chop-Doh is basically a chop cup out of a Play-Doh container. So it's very organic because you've got this Play-Doh container and, you know, you've got these little balls that are designed to look like balled up pieces of Play-Doh and blah, 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 blah. Sounds like a great idea until you realise that it is made so terribly. First of all, I think that all they've done is taken a Play-Doh container and just whacked a magnet at the bottom of it, because you can see the magnet. If you look at the bottom, you can actually just see the magnet there. But then the other problem with this is, so first of all, it's terrible. It doesn't look very good. But second of all, the person that created this obviously has no clue about how chop cups work. I use the chop cup a lot. I know how chop cups work. What you don't want to do is you don't want to have to bang the chop cup down on the table in order to dislodge the ball. The magnet strength between the ball and the cup are so important. It should look like when you put it down to dislodge it and you put it down to not dislodge it, it looks exactly the same. One of my pet hates is magicians that do a chop cup routine and they're putting it down nice and gingerly, and when they want to do the dislodge, they go boom. Because it looks terrible. You're telegraphing how the routine works. You're telegraphing what's happening. And that's what you have to do with this cup. You have to bang it down in order to dislodge it. That is the only way to dislodge it. And it's not like you can use another ball with this, because the whole concept of it is you're taking chop cup balls. So you're taking Play-Doh and rolling them up into balls, which you then use with this cup. I guarantee you, this is another example of somebody that's sat there and gone, you know what, we can make a chop cup out of a Play-Doh container. Oh, great, should we have them plastic moulded and specially made? Now we'll just stick some magnets in some normal Play-Doh cups. That's all we need. And magicians will buy anything. It's not fit for purpose. It looks terrible. The tutorial is awful. Are we starting to see a trend here? A lot of the people that end up on these lists, they end up on the lists because they half-arse it. They half-arse what they're doing, whether it be the making of the props, whether it be the tutorial, whatever it may be, they're half-arsing it. And this is another example of a half-arsed, half-baked trick that just nobody should buy. In number 6, we have iCandy by Peter Eggink. Now, here's the thing. You know, I talk about Peter Eggink sometimes on this channel, and I feel really bad. And the reason I feel really bad is I used to be a big fan of Peter Eggink. 2020, Blackpool, I went up to his stand, shook his hand, I said, Peter, I really love your stuff, I think it's amazing. And I meant every word that I said. I'm thinking about doing a magic stuff and talking about 5 Peter Eggink tricks that are amazing, because he has got some really good stuff that got bought out back in the day. But ever since I started this YouTube channel, ever since I started the review show, every single Peter Eggink trick that's come out has been absolutely cringeworthy, complete and total crap. It really has. And the only thing I can think of is that, like, he's hit his head or something. Like, you know, like you watch those superhero movies, like Spider-Man, right? And a lot of the time, the supervillain used to be a good guy and then became a supervillain because something happened to him, like Doc Ock or the Green Goblin or something. I think that, like, maybe Peter Eggink got bit by a radioactive rabbit. Or maybe, you know, like a special deck of cards from outer space came and hit him on the head or something. And he's gone from being super creative Peter Eggink to this guy who's now uber evil. He's the evil supervillain of the magic community, who is out for one reason and one reason only, to line his pockets, and he will lie, cheat and steal in order to do that. And I say that because this trailer is out and out lies. Now, I pointed this out in last week's list. I pointed out Quantum Bend, which is his spoon bend, where he reversed the footage on the trailer to make the bend look better. He's not against cheating on trailers to make his product look better, which tells you everything that you need to know about this man's ethics and morals currently right now. They are absolutely in the toilet. And the perfect example is on iCandy, because he's doing this vanish, right? He's doing this vanish where he takes this piece of candy and he makes it vanish in his hand. And it's based on now you see it or whatever it is, where it's on a loop and it goes behind his hand, right? So it's not original to him. It's something that's been around for years. He does this vanish, and he does it to his 2 daughters in this outdoor environment. And I guarantee you, his daughters are in on it. He said to his daughters beforehand, hey, I'm going to do this trick. You've got to react really well when I make it disappear. Because you can just tell the little one, you make the coin, he makes the sweet disappear. The little one goes, oh, reacts like she's been told to. And then a couple of seconds later, just looks completely disinterested. It's obvious to any parent or anybody who works with children that he has coached those kids to react at that exact moment. Now, the dishonest part about this is that kid that's sitting there watching the vanish of that candy will be able to see exactly where it is, Because of the angle she's sitting at, she can see exactly what's happened, but she's reacted like this. So anybody who's not paying attention to this stuff is going to think, oh my gosh, this is going to work really well in this environment. He's surrounded. It's just completely unethical. And if I'm wrong, Peter, come on the internet with me. Come on YouTube. We will have a live debate, you and me, because I know I'm not wrong. You coach those kids into reacting when they knew exactly what was going on, so that vanish looked more practical than it actually is. Let's not even get into the fact that this trick was bought out by Saturn Magic before you, and Mark Traversoni contacted you and said, hey, this is my trick, and you basically said, I don't care, I'm releasing my version instead. Now, the magic community ripped into me because of Red, and rightfully so. You're doing the same thing here to Mark Traversoni and Saturn Magic. You're basically kicking him to the curb and saying, I'm the big, all-powerful Peter Egging. I can do what I want and you can't do anything about it. You're doing that and you're getting away with it, and that's just not fair, Peter. That's just not fair. You know, Mark Traversoni brought this out before. What have you added to this trick? You added a vanish that's years old. It's not even your vanish anyway. And you made the gimmick out of plastic. Mark Traversoni and Saturn Magic's gimmick is way better for a variety of different reasons. Yeah, it's made out of cardboard, but you can make as many as you want. So it's even better. And also, you have multiple options with it because it goes in from the side as well as from above. And they've got multiple routines with their version. Whilst with your version, you've got one routine and one routine only, or a couple of different routines. There's way much more value with the Saturn Magic product than there is with iCandy. You know it, I know it. But you do this all the time, don't you? I remember, I will never forget when you went on the Magic Cafe and discredited Tyler Lunsford. That guy is a kid. He is a hard-working YouTuber. He is a hard-working kid who goes out and tries his absolute best to build his channel up. And you discredited him and said, oh, who takes this kid's opinions into fact? He doesn't know what he's talking about. When you did that, Peter, that showed me the type of person that you are. That showed me the type of... You were prepared to throw this kid under a bus. He had a valid opinion. He bought a trick. He was a paid customer. He paid money to you. And then he had a genuine concern about a trick. And instead of addressing those concerns, instead of actually saying, you know what, you're right, or instead of debating with him, or actually providing some customer service, you threw him under a bus publicly on a public forum. You are scum. You're the lowest of the low. I don't do rants anymore. This is not going to become a rant. But when you did that to Tyler, and when you pull stuff like fake trailers, and you bring out shoddy product after shoddy product, that tells me that you have no intention about making this magic an art form. You have indeed. The stuff that you bring out, all you care about is people buying it. Prove me wrong. Release something that's good. Be the Peter Egging from years ago that you aren't anymore. Because frankly, I'm sick of your crap. In fifth place, we have Fresh Fish. Now, Fresh Fish is the only download on this list, and it's a terrible download. I cannot believe how this ever got greenlit. Now, I am all for magic companies, whether it be Vanishing Ink or Murphy's or Penguin Magic or Alakazam or whoever. I'm all for them releasing whatever it is they want to release. You know, and if a wholesaler wants to release a trick, it's up to the dealers to decide whether to have it on their shelves. One man's treasure is another man's trash. You know, I get that. I totally get that. What I can't understand is how this trick ever got greenlit. Who in Murphy's looked at this trick and went, you know what? That's what we want representing our company. Send it to the wholesaler. Send it to the internet. I don't understand. I don't understand how this got greenlit. Someone please tell me, because this is the worst trick ever. It's basically that old trick where someone picks a card, you drop it into a bag, into a paper bag, you take a piece of rope, you drop it in, and it catches the card. It's been done many, many times. Lots of different companies have done it. Lots of different creators have actually come up with their own version. This is a terrible version. A truly, truly terrible version. I actually believe that the person who they got to perform and explain this doesn't have the first clue about magic. Because he obviously can't palm and doesn't understand any concept of misdirection, timing, offbeat. I think that what happened is the guy that created it unfortunately died on the way to the shoot. And the other people that were involved in the project went, oh my God, John's dead. We can't We gotta pull the project, but we can't pull the project. I know, let's go down onto the streets and let's just find somebody and get them to perform it. Oh, hi, do you do magic? No. Oh, perfect, come with me. And they taught him the trick and they got him to present it. That's the only solution I can come up with as to why this is so bad. You look at the trailer, and do me a favor, just watch the trailer. It's jump cut after jump cut after jump cut. There's jump cut. You got this moment where they're examining the bag, and the next thing is somebody else is holding the bag with the cards inside. Like, it's just dreadful. How this ever got greenlit, I don't know. The problem is, people are going to buy this. There's going to be somebody new into magic that buys this download, and one of two things is going to happen. Either firstly, they're going to go out and perform it and get terrible reactions, or they're going to have people going, oh, that's quite good, and they're going to think that this type of magic is good, or they're just going to get disappointed with magic, and they could have been the next Shin Lim, but they decide to quit magic anyway because they're just getting no reaction because it's just so terrible, and they're wasting money on tricks like this. That's exactly what this is about. This is a terrible, terrible trick that never should have been greenlit. It never should have been greenlit. It is probably one of the worst downloads of all time. Avoid at all costs. Fresh fish is awful. In fourth place, we have a relatively new product that only got released a few weeks ago, and we reviewed it very, very recently, and that's Milk Box by Marcus Cruz. Now, Marcus Cruz is becoming one of the worst magic creators and distributors in the world right now. He bought out Origami Can, which we hated. Myself and Ryland absolutely hated. It was on the list last week. And this week, we ripped this up. We literally ripped it up into shreds. This is another example of producing a trick that is not fit for purpose. This trick is not fit for purpose. The whole concept is you make 3 cans of, you make 3 milk cartons appear, and then there's a glass that appeared at the beginning, and then milk appears in there, and then turns into a handkerchief. First of all, the glass is a mirror glass, but it is the cheapest it's not a mirror glass. It's not a mirror glass. It's a piece of plastic. It's a plastic tumbler, and then what you get is you get a piece of mirrored cardboard that's cut so that you can put it inside the glass. The thing is, it doesn't work. It doesn't fit because it's not designed like that. It doesn't fit. So when you put a handkerchief behind it, you can see it from the other side. Now, new people into magic that have never worked with a proper mirror glass before are not going to actually, they're going to think, well, maybe this is what's meant to be the case, but it's not. It's not fit for purpose. It's really not. If you think that you need a mirror glass included in your routine, then produce a proper mirror glass, not a half-assed piece of crap that looks terrible. And then as for the milk cartons, they're made in a terribly shoddy fashion. First of all, they're meant to magnetically lock at the top, and they don't. Half the time they flip open. But even if they do magnetically lock, you can tell that they're not real milk cartons. You can tell because you can just see. Like, this wouldn't fool anyone. This is designed as a kid's trick. But if there are kids in the audience that are watching this, they're not going to be fooled by this. They're really not. Credit the children in the audience with some intelligence. They're going to watch this and they're going to go, well, it's obvious how that works. And you can't prove them wrong because the method that they will come up with is the method that it actually uses. And then you've got the tutorial. I honestly believe that if you're releasing a trick like this, you should include a full scripted performance. You should include a performance to real audiences, to a bunch of kids, and then you should provide a script with it. They're not doing that. There's no live performance. It's a very short, half-assed tutorial explaining how the trick works, and then that's it. It's terrible. It's another example of me seeing over and over again. Sorry to keep banging on about this, but it's a trick that's not fit for purpose. Myself and Ryland ripped this up into shreds on the latest Craig and Ryland review show. We ripped it up into pieces, little cardboard pieces. And the reason we ripped it up into cardboard pieces is because this is not a good trick. It is a very badly produced trick that is not fit for purpose. Marcus Cruz, I don't know who you are, but you seem to release nothing but crap. Please, for the sake of the magic community, for the sake of the audiences that are watching magic, just stop releasing magic. Just stop. Nobody wants to see your stuff. Nobody cares. It's all terrible. Just stop. Stop right now. In third place, we have the Other Brothers. Now, the Other Brothers are a little bit like Peter Egging for me, in that they used to be good and then they got bad. Ever since Abstract Effects came out, Other than the odd one or two tricks, random happenings was good. Other than the odd one or two tricks, other brothers have just brought out nothing but terrible trick after terrible trick after terrible trick. And it's such a shame because they are very, very talented people. And I think that at some point down the line, maybe when they set up their own company and therefore they started having a bottom line to work towards or something, they very quickly realized that, excuse me, they very quickly realized that they needed to put more and more tricks out, and maybe the well ran dry in terms of ideas, and so they came up with all this crap. And Summit is the perfect example. It is a terrible trick. It is a trick that never should have been released. Now, the first problem with this, which is a problem with a lot of magic tricks, is the trailer. It was a completely dishonest trailer. It actually says in the trailer at one point, the spectator has a free choice. No, they don't. It is limited, severely limited. And I believe that the other brothers had to make a retraction to that statement because it is not a free choice. It is anything but a free choice. But even if it was a free choice, it's still a terrible trick. First of all, the gimmick is made shoddily. Mine broke apart. Two of my bits, there's 6 bits to it from memory. It was a while ago. It's been in the bin for a long time now. But the 6 bits to it, I think 2 of them broke within a few minutes. It looks like it's just been 3D printed. It does not look like it's designed to last for very long at all. Which just shows that the other brothers don't really care about their customers. They just care about putting something out that they can sell and make money from. And I'm sick to death, going back to the trailers again, I'm sick to death of these Hollywood-style trailers where there's explosions and there's dramatic music and the magician is slowly walking towards screen, showing a Sharpie. And we don't want that shit. Here's what I want from a trailer. I want a live performance. I want to see exactly what it is that I'm buying. I want to know exactly what it is. I would like you to be completely honest with me, and I would like to see a live performance of whatever it is that I'm buying. That's what I want. That's what I want. Or I want to see lots of live performance clips and a very clear description of what it is that I'm getting with no lies. That's what I want, right? And the other brothers seem incapable of actually doing that. The other problem with it is, it's a trick that there's a million ways of doing this in a much better way. The trick didn't make sense logically. It's not a signed card. It's a card that disappears and goes in a pen that they were holding. Why did you make a prediction inside a pen? It would have been just as easy to literally just put a card inside a pen, give it to the spectator to hold on to, and just have them name a card. Do a card force or something. There's a million ways that this could have been done better. And there's a million different ways that you could script this in a much better way. This is just a dreadful trick. It's just a dreadful trick. It shouldn't have been brought out. And you know what the other brothers need to do? They need to have a quiet word for themselves and they need to take a step back. I think they have took a step back because the Abstract Effects website has been taken down. Their social media hasn't posted on for a long time. I hope that what the other brothers are doing is they're taking a step back, they're reevaluating, they're coming up with some more ideas, and we'll see them rise from the ashes like a phoenix with some incredible routines, just like they did back in the day. That's what I'm hoping that we're going to see in the months and years to come. But right now, based on their output in 2021, the other brothers, their reputation is in the toilet. Okay, so in second place, we have Move Inc. Now, this is something that myself and Rylan reviewed very, very recently. If you don't know what Move Inc. is, basically, it's the trick that myself and Rylan cut up. Rylan cut it up with a pair of scissors. It's very similar to Nomad Ring 2 in that I bought 3 of these and all 3 of them broke either as soon as I took it out of the box or within a few minutes of using it. And the problem with this trick is it uses invisible elastic thread, right? So what's going to happen is if you're using invisible elastic thread, at some point it's going to break. If you're doing a trick with invisible elastic thread, bare minimum, you need to include something on the tutorial that explains how to fix the gimmick if it breaks. They didn't do that. The tutorial is dreadful. It's like a 10-minute tutorial that just explains how the trick works. There's nothing about how to repair it, which is a shame when you've got a trick that's going to fall apart within 0.2 seconds. It's another example of not actually supplying a trick that's fit for purpose. But even if it was fit for purpose, even if it didn't break apart, it's still a terrible trick, because what we have here is you apparently draw some stuff on a playing card, and then when you turn the playing card, the drawing, the ink all comes together to spell out a playing card. King of Diamonds, right? So you force a King of Diamonds, and then you do this, and boom. The problem is, that doesn't look like ink. When you show this card, it looks like a specially printed card. So when you do that, it looks like a specially printed card. It doesn't look very good at all. Again, it solves a problem that doesn't exist. And that's the other issue with a lot of the people on this list, and on the list that I presented to you a week ago. They bring out tricks that solve a problem that doesn't exist. There are a million ways of doing the trick that Move Ink suggests that you do. There's a million ways of doing this in a much better way. And I talked about it in the review. I'm not going to talk about it again now, but there's a million ways that you can do this in a much better way. But they don't do that. Instead, they have this half-assed brain fart of an idea, and they go, you know what, we can do this, and that will look really good, and then we can sell it to people. Oh, but it's going to break. Well, it doesn't matter if it's going to break. Who cares? They've given us the money now. That's all that's important. And I genuinely think that's what a lot of these magic creators are thinking about. All they care about is getting the product to market. In the old days, you know, I miss the old days. I mean, I bought out 3 tricks this year. In 2021, I bought 3 tricks out. I bought Visible out, I bought Beyond Stem, and I bought Gossip. All of those routines I have been doing for years. The stuff on Visible, the stuff on Beyond Stebbins, I've been doing for years. I've been doing Gossip for 15 years. This is not a brain fart of an idea. If I'd have released Gossip when it first had the idea for it, it would have looked completely different and nowhere near as good as it did when I bought it out last year, because things evolve over time. And I think that magic producers and magic creators are not giving themselves time to refine their ideas. They're having an idea, they're coming up with the way of doing it, and they're just going, yep, that's good enough, let's just go with that. And they're not testing it, they're not coming up with ways of actually making it better. They're not looking at it objectively and going, you know what, this is good, but how can I take it to the next level? They're just literally releasing it and just selling it to people without any research and development. And I think that the only way that this is ever going to stop is if we stop buying this shit magic. You know, and we just buy the good stuff, because then hopefully magic producers like the people that bring out Move Ink will get the message clearly that we are not going to stand for this crap anymore. Move Ink people, I can't even remember who's created it, but whoever created Move Ink, seriously have a word with yourself, because this is shoddy, it's crap, and you know as well as me that this is a brain fart that you had that was bought out very, very quickly, rushed to market, and it doesn't work. And even if it did work, it's not a great trick. And then in first place, we have everyone's favourite supervillain in the magic community. The one and only Peter Egging is back with Card Through Window, or CTW, otherwise known as the trick that I banged with a hammer. I smashed it to bits with a hammer on the show a few weeks ago. Why did I smash it to bits with a hammer? Because I'm absolutely sick and tired of these overpriced electronic pieces of crap that are being bought out, and all you get is a flashy trailer, and that's what sells people on the trick. And when they buy it, they realise they're buying the magical equivalent of a giant steaming turd. And that's what we have here. It's another example of a really expensive electronic piece. For some reason, Peter Egging has become obsessed with electronics. It started with the coin to can thing a few years ago. Then it went into coin to glass, which is one of the worst tricks of 2020. That was terrible. And now we're here with this piece of crap. So what makes it so bad? Well, first of all, Peter talks about how this is a really practical trick, because it's you can put it in your pocket and then you can take it out and you can put it anytime you want to, anywhere you want to. Well, here's the thing. First of all, there's a million ways of achieving this in a much cleaner, much better way. I could talk about 1,000 different ways of making this. There's tricks that have already been marketed that's better than this. But secondly, Peter talks about how in order to do this, what you have to do is you have to put this black box onto really a door, because you have to get around it very quickly. It can't be a window where you have to run around the building to get to the other side of the window. Realistically, it has to be a door. So you have to put this black box on one side of a door, the door that you're planning on performing this in front of. And he talks about what you want to do is you want to put it behind a blind or some sort of covering. Now, the problem is 90% of the windows that I know don't have a covering. They just don't. You know, they don't have blinds, especially venues. And what I'm supposed to do, go to a friend's house that actually does have blinds, because most of my friends have carpets, go to a friend's house and just whack that there on the door and wait a little while to perform it. So you go to a venue. I'm not going to do this, am I? I'm not going to go to a venue and go, hi, I'm going to do a trick later on. Can I just put this big black box here on your door? Would that be okay? It's just stupid. And then he says, okay, so what you want to do is you want to get a big Wi-Fi sticker, which he doesn't supply. Get a big Wi-Fi sticker and stick that over it so it blocks it. Oh, brilliant. Right. So now I'm saying to the venue or my mate, when I go to my mate's house, hey, would you mind if I stick this big sticker here that says free Wi-Fi? I just think I'd like to put this on the window for later on. Would that be all right? No, stuff off. And then what you have here is you have a remote control, and all that happens is when you press it, the card falls down on a piece of thread and sticks to the window. At least that's what's meant to happen. When I was trying it, 7 times out of 10, it wouldn't do that. It'd just flap around. Even though it's meant to stick to the window, it didn't, despite me going through everything that he said go through in order to set it up. Didn't really work particularly well, but whatever. Maybe that's me. I don't know. I don't think it is, but maybe that's me. Although I'm not going to get into it, but I don't think this is as reliable as Peter likes to make it believe that it is. Also, the trailer is very ambiguous. If you watch the trailer, it makes out like there's nothing on the window because the way that it's shot, you don't see any cover, even though there is. But again, it's not practical. What am I going to do? Like, stick this? Then people are walking past and they see this big black box, and then when I do it, I've got to come round and I've got to somehow take the card away and leave the black box there. I'm going to have to get it later on. I can't leave it there for too long. And then the card has got loads of stuff on it, so I can't really give it away unless I get all of that stuff. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, if I was going to do a card through window, do you know how I'd do it? I'd think, right, okay, I'm going to be performing here. So what I'm going to do is that window that's behind everybody, I'm just going to, before everyone arrives, I'm going to stick a card against that window. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick a card against that window. Then I'm just going to, and I might even use an intercessor. So I might have a corner torn off, and then what I'll do is I'll do intercessor. So I'll have someone pick a card. Here, can you hold on to that corner? That's brilliant. I'm going to take this part. I'm going to put it into the middle of the deck, side steel, whatever. Watch this. Throw it at the window. Look at everybody. Turn around. Look, there's a card on the other side of the window. Grab that corner piece. Stick it there. Does it match? It does. Amazing. Like, what's wrong with doing that? Why do we have to be obsessed with having that visual moment? And I know the visual moment's cool, and that's what's selling this trick. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the method that Peter has used to achieve this is not practical. Despite the promises he makes on the trailer, it's not practical. Nobody is doing this. Please tell me, if you have bought CTW from Peter Egging and you do it, I want to know. Let me know in the comments down below. I know Peter performs professionally. I bet Peter does not do this in the real world. I guarantee you Peter doesn't do this in the real world. I guarantee you anything that's been released in the last 2 years by Peter Egging, he doesn't actually perform in the real world. And that's the difference between a creator. You know, I've got a couple of theories when it comes to magic tricks that are released to the magic community. The first is, half of the creators have never actually performed this in the real world once. They never perform their tricks in the real world. What they actually do is they have an idea. When they go out and they gig, they do ambitious card, and the stuff that they're actually creating, they don't do in the real world. They just literally create it to sell to magicians, and it's got a cool method or something like that. The other thing is, if you don't talk about how to get into a trick and how to get out of it afterwards, it probably means that you don't actually do this in the real world. Like, anybody, if you bought CTW and you do it in the real world, I want to know down below. I would love to meet up with Peter Egging. He's going to be at Blackpool in February. Peter, I've got a challenge for you. I want you to grab all of your new releases that you've bought out over the last 2 years. And then what I want to do is I want to go to a bar with you and I want you to perform them one after another, after another, after another. That's what I'd like to see, because I don't think you do. I don't think you release them. I don't think you can perform them in the real world, because you don't do them. You just create tricks. You just release tricks. It's a money grab. That's all it is. Simply a money grab. So there you go, guys. That is another top 10 worst tricks of 2021. So between this video and the previous video, I've highlighted 20 tricks that you need to be aware of in 2021. If you see them, run away, run like the wind. Do not look back. And whatever you do not spend your money on any of these tricks. I really hope that in 2022, magic creators and magic producers start to take more care about the tricks they're releasing. What I would like to see is people bringing out tricks that aren't brain farts, that have actually been tested in the real world. Trailers that aren't misleading. Trailers that actually show you exactly what it is that you're buying. Tricks that go into depth about everything that you need to know. So if you need to know about audience management or angles, it goes through that. Tricks that are actually got good quality props that you can be proud to own, as opposed to half-arsing and doing everything on the cheap to try and extend the profit margin. You know, we need to see all of this stuff happening in 2022. Myself and Ryan, we're going to continue to review products and give our complete and total honest opinion. So please continue to watch the review shows right here on Magic TV, because we are completely and totally honest, and we'll tell you exactly what we think, and then we'll take it out in the real world at some point in the future and we'll test to see if we're right. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and as normal, if you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. We're going to be back over the weekend. We have 8 videos here on Magic TV. So on Saturday, we're going to be here with a honest trailer at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We're going to be here with a shorts. Is it shorts? Yeah. 6 o'clock is a Magic Live, and at 9 o'clock we're going to be here with a Talk Magic, and then on Sunday we're going to be again 12 o'clock is going to be a Q&A, 2 o'clock is a short, 6 o'clock is a Magic Live, and then at 9 o'clock a review show special. So there's a lot coming up right here on Magic TV. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you have an amazing weekend. My name's Craig from Magic TV.